Hello, 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 and thank you for joining me for another Nene moment. I hope this message reaches you healthy, happy, and whole. This is Wednesday Wisdom, and I just would like to share my perspective with you. Well, today, what I would like to talk about is the curses that we choose to accept. The curses that we choose to accept. The curses that we choose to accept. Okay. Now, the reason why I wanted to get on here and say this is because simply so many times in life we will run across things that we read and it may describe us to a T. And then we'll may sit up here, well, dang, is something wrong with me? Or I'm weird, or I may not act like this person, or whatever the case may be. And the thing is, be mindful about taking on curses that are not yours. Sometimes you are who you are because you are uniquely designed according to God in His image. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to bring up this subject was simply because, well, you always hear me on here talking about my emotional roller coasters of ups and downs and feeling confused and anxiety and worry and fear and all of those things that don't do me any good. And so I watch a lot of YouTube videos, I read a lot and things like that to try to get better mentally to see how I can get out of my head to, get to moving. So things started coming across my timeline for bipolar depression. Bipolar depression. And people who have, some people, not everybody, who have dealt with me when I have my little moods. One day I'm just like, oh, so loving. And then the next day I need my space or I may be a little irritated. You hear me say on my channels, like, it's like some days I can just be on the flow and just going, and then all of a sudden it just all fall apart. So when I read about bipolar depression, it described a lot of my many ups and downs and my confusion and on and on and on. And so it diagnosed, when I took the test that they had on there, it diagnosed me as bipolar 1, a manic depressant or depression, bipolar depressant. And I was like, okay. So as I was reading more and more about it, then it went to anxiety. I always thought that I just always had anxiety. Then when I read about anxiety disorder and then on and on and on, and yes, it did, speak a lot to the characteristics that I go through. But I have went to a counselor on 4 different occasions. The only counselor that was really able to help me get out of the victim mentality was the first counselor I went to, and that was when I was married. And we went to counseling together as well as separate. And that was the only person who started helping me identify how a lot of the victim mentality that I have was stemmed from certain things from my childhood and things like that. So I started releasing it, and then so that helped me not be so angry and not always being defensive and on and on and on. And so the other 3 counselors or therapists that I went to, they told me that I don't need a therapist or a counselor, that I just need somebody who just would be willing to listen to me, to let me process my thoughts. And they dismissed me. And so for me to have for that test to say that I have bipolar depression, I would think that me going to my doctor and me going to a counselor or a therapist, they would have identified that. And so that's what I mean by be mindful of the curses that you accept. Because I could have read that and been like, oh, I need some type of medicine to help me with these mood swings and woo-to-woo-to-woo. And no, it's not that. Because also when you read my zodiac sign, I'm an Aquarius. And so I'm an intellectual person. So I'm always up in my head trying to figure out the next best thing. I'm a humanitarian. I want to help the world to be a better place if I can. And most of the time, that's what causes me my anxiety, because I see so much wrong that I want to help with. But then in my situation, I'm looking like, how can I help? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not in a position to do that financially or my status or whatever the case may be to make some big moves and changes like that, so it would cause me anxiety. And so me not knowing that about myself, that I'm always trying to find a resolution, I'm always trying to find an answer, and on and on and on, I would have read that and believed that I was bipolar and I was depressed or whatever the case may be. But no, it's not that. It's just literally I'm a person who always want to be evolving. I always want to be moving forward in life. I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I want to be clear about my next step. And that what causes me to shut down after I go through so many thoughts in my head and I don't see anything happening. But one thing that is helping me on this journey is literally my self-trust coach, my Getting Unstuck coach. Plan your day to where you can actually see what do you have to do and what you can't do, and be okay with saying no to the things that will distract you against what you're going against. What you're trying to accomplish. And so that's been helping me, even if I don't touch everything that I have on my schedule that day, I actually see now that I'm making progress, even though I didn't feel like it. And that was one of the things that would cause me anxiety and confusion and just all these things, is because I did not feel like I was moving forward. But now I have it written down and checking it off like, oh, okay, I did that, even though I didn't hit everything on my schedule today. But I checked out, I hit most of it. So don't sit up here and just because someone says something about you or you read something and it describes a lot of your characteristics, don't take that on and say, oh, I'm bipolar depression. Who ain't bipolar depression is me. Who don't need no medicine is me. Who I need to do is just continue to center myself, continue to find clarity in where I am going, and walk in it with confidence. Faith is the substance of things wanted for but not seen. So since I know I want these things, I need to continue to trust God and walk in it, and that will help me with my many ups and downs. And it'll be okay to just sit back when I don't feel like doing anything, just being okay with it and realizing everything at the appointed time, like it says in my journal. And so don't be so quick to, just because you're not understanding how you feel, the many ups and downs and everything else like that. If you can take anything from me, just know 9 chances out of 10, it's not so much that you have a mental disorder or a chemical imbalance going on in your head. Most likely it's just you have so many thoughts that are dropping into your spirit that God wants you to move in, because it's you that he wants to fulfill what he's asking you to do. And when you sit there and don't do it, that is what, in my situation, and I feel it is for so many other situations, is what caused the anxiety and the confusion and the feeling depressed, because we have all these thoughts. And as long as we don't do nothing with those thoughts, all it's going to do is wear us down to the point to where we feel overwhelmed, confused, and just don't have no energy to get up and do anything. And then we'll say, oh, I'm a procrastinator, or oh, I'm lazy. And oh, no. Be mindful of the curses that you accept. Be mindful of the curses that you accept. Be mindful of the curses that you accept. Do not accept that you are lazy. Do not accept that you are a procrastinator. Do not accept that you are bipolar depression. Don't accept that you are anything but the perfect being that was made in the image of God. And all he needs you to do is quiet yourself long enough, 5-10 minutes, just to sit there and just quiet yourself to see what God would have you to do with those thoughts, to where you're not sitting up here going to people who just take a ball of ideas and thoughts and things like that and try to give you some medicine that's going to give you a lot of side effects that's going to make you worse than better. Okay? So be mindful of the curses that you accept. Don't accept every curse just because someone say that you were angry, just because someone say that you were selfish, just because someone say that you were a cheater, just because all these different curses that are spoke up on us. We don't have to accept it. We do not have to fall in line with it. So on this Wednesday wisdom, that is what I will want you to take from this. Is just simply be mindful of the curses that you accept. If you say that that is not you, if you sit up here and you read something, just see what you can do to center yourself so God can help you bring everything into proper perspective so you can move in the way that he would have you to move. Okay? Get out of your head, get out of your way, and just move in what these thoughts are putting in your head. Okay, if this video helped you in any type of way, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And hey, be mindful of the curses that you accept. Okay? Be mindful of the words that you speak over your life, as well as be mindful of the words that other people speak over your life. You dismiss them. Dismiss them. You don't need their words. Their words don't need to validate you or edify you. Okay? You validate yourself and you edify yourself, and do not take on curses that do not belong to you, because you were perfectly created in the image of God. And what we have experienced in life would make us fall off that track, but just know that you are perfect. Have a beautiful, blessed day, and thank you for joining me for this Wednesday Wisdom.